Hi, I'm feminist Erin Gibson.
Hi, I'm homosexual Bryan Safi, and this is Attitudes.
Gender issues.
LGBT plus issues.
Pop culture.
Let me tell you something. Actually, can you wait just like 30 seconds after the music and then I'll keep talking?
Can you handle it?
Hi, honey. How are you?
Hi, honey. I'm thriving.
You're driving right now?
Thriving.
Oh.
I said thriving.
Good.
But I know I do thrive when I drive, though.
Isn't that wonderful?
So wonderful.
I drove all night to get to you. Is that all right? No, it's not all right. Because I deliberately said for you not to come.
Also, don't follow that. You're following a song where you saying, "Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Did he go and leave you all alone? Ooh, I'm on fire."
I do love that song, though. It's so pretty.
I know, but I don't like it when adult men talk to women like they're little girls.
I don't either.
When it's in a sexual scenario.
Joni Mitchell uses the word daddy in one of her songs. Carrie, I think. I hate it. Ugh.
I hate the word daddy. I hate the word mommy.
I do too. It's disgusting.
If you're here for a dickin',
go read A Christmas Carol.
Let's not bring the parents into the sitch. Okay?
If you're here for a Dickens, go read Oliver Twist.
That's right.
You understand? Great Expectations.
That's right. I'm not open like the library. Okay. You come at me like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What was the exciting thing you were going to tell me? But you had to wait for when we were done with the intro.
Oh, not to. I saw one of the best things I've ever seen in my life this weekend.
Thank you.
I'm in New York. Oh, no, not you. I did see a picture of you on Instagram.
Yeah.
You looked fantastic.
Thank you. But that was
one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. The other one of the best things I've ever seen in my life, I saw this incredible play that I think tonight's the Tony Awards, so it's up for a bunch of stuff, called John Proctor is the Villain. And for those of you who don't know, John Proctor is the lead character in The Crucible, which was about the Salem witch trials. Essentially, John Proctor has an affair on his wife Elizabeth with this young woman. You could even say girl. I think she's 15 or 16 in the play, named Abigail. Abigail.
God, everyone was Abigail back then.
Falls in love with him, and he doesn't reciprocate, and so she eventually starts calling them witches and da-da-da-da-da. But it was a really cool look. It's about 7 people in high school in this small town in Georgia. 5 of them are girls who want to start a feminist club in their high school, and they're reading The Crucible, and they're like, actually, the story is sort of fucked up, and like, John Proctor took Abigail's virginity. Most of these girls, if you look at it in context, the Salem witches, quote, because obviously none of that was true, had either seen their fathers be beheaded by the, practically rightfully so, by the indigenous people, but had seen at the time they'd mostly seen many of their fathers die, or had been sexually traumatized by the adult men in their communities. And, I don't know what they weren't Puritans. I don't know what they were in this period. Maybe they were Puritans, but these girls were traumatized, and they get in trouble in the play for dancing naked in the forest when really, like, these girls were traumatized and just screaming out for help, essentially. And that John Proctor, who blames Abigail for the affair, even though she was a virgin, and then tells his wife that she's too emotional in the play, and then dies in the play a hero, is really fucked up. And essentially, they read this play, they consider how fucked up it is, and then, this is like right when Me Too was really bubbling up, and essentially, they realize their teacher, who is a guy who is sponsoring this feminist club because a guy has to sponsor it for it to go through in this high school curriculum, is sort of fucked up himself. And it's really unbelievable. It's just remarkable. And then the girls, some of them really like the teacher. And so it's just interesting to see the people who make excuses for him because they don't know any better. These are children. The people they trust, the way seduction happens, and like, it was just badass and awesome. I was like weeping at the end of it. And also what was so sad about it was how hopeful these girls are that Me Too is happening and that these people will be punished and that no one, if they have anything to do with it, no one will ever be put in this kind of power again. And then it's deliberately said in 2018 so that when you look at it in 2025, you're like, Donald Trump is president. Andrew Cuomo is running for governor and will probably win. One person was canceled, Harvey Weinstein. It's just shocking and so sad. But the play is hilarious, moving, brilliant, and just honestly, I was in tears at the end beyond. It was just gorgeous.
And just to recap, no one can ever see it because it's closing tonight.
No, it was sold out. Oh, it's closing
it's
tonight.
Still running? No.
Oh, yeah,
Wait,
no, it's up for
running?
Best Play tonight at the Tonys.
Oh.
Written by a woman, directed by a woman, acted. I mean, just the cast is unbelievable. It's all these young women.
I think, did she go to NYU? Because Ollie was telling me about this play. I think they were in the same.
Which one, the director or the writer? Some of the actors
writer.
in it go to NYU or went to NYU. They're very young, though. They're like, I think the most famous one is in Stranger Things. I don't watch that show, though, so I didn't know her.
9, 7, 6, whatever the names are. Her name's
976, exactly. Everyone go see 976 and John Proctor's the villain. But anyway, that's not really a funny story. It was just mind-blowing.
But just go see it. You're saying go see it.
It's 100 minutes long, no intermission. It's gorgeous.
Oh, yes. Dreams.
I really loved it. Like, if you're looking for something to see when you're in New York, make that a priority.
Listen, I fucked up going to New York last time because.
You saw Mamma Mia and Cats. And they weren't even on anymore. You went to some I don't even know where I was. Production.
I don't even know where I was.
That's right.
But I only saw 2 shows, and I really wish I had done matinees and just mainlined.
Well, that's okay. Hopefully, I mean, this was
theater.
Totally sold out last night. It's really been I think it's been very successful, and it was really critically lauded. But I think it's really building steam now. It seems to be selling really well. So if you have a chance to see a play, I would see that, and then walk across the street.
Do you
and see
think
Booth,
Cole's
the musical? What?
Do you think Cole's gonna win?
Yes.
Yeah.
But this will be out by the time that's happened.
Yeah, so we don't know how Cole's going to sweep up, but
I do feel like Cole's going to win, and I feel like I'm going to win. Can I get back to you on that one? I'm trying to think if I have anything else good to say. It's been raining here, but it's really warm and a little humid. Let's see what else. I ran into some people who ran into you in Santa Fe.
Who?
A guy named Christopher who saw you walking down the street and said, "Oh my God, Erin, I listened to Attitudes."
Wait, are you sure it wasn't 4 men who were on a vacation together and they saw me walking my dog at a hike?
No, it definitely wasn't that.
Okay.
No, they saw you, I think, in Santa Fe because they were living in New Mexico at the time. I believe he writes for People magazine. Christopher?
Wait, is one of them a lawyer?
Possibly. One of them, they both look like lawyers, but I don't think, at least one of them is not a lawyer.
One of them's not a judge?
And by look like lawyers, I mean, they're handsome and put together.
Okay.
I don't know if one is a judge. I'm going to say that they're not judge is.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to say the most Santa Fe thing in the world. Did I run into these people? I don't know what the modality
is, if that's the next question. I have absolutely no idea.
Did I run into these people at a Western vintage shop at a cattle ranch?
They said we ran into her on the street.
Okay, well there's a lot of streets. Okay, but anyway, go ahead.
There certainly are, Erin, but there's only one you. That's the best part.
Okay, so you ran into them on the New York City streets, and they go, "This is ironic."
I was at a show at Joe's Pub, Peru Flores' show, and we were seated because there they you have to sit next to people. I mean, I guess at most things you see.
That's so weird. Why would you have to sit next to them at a live show? Upsetting.
And they were so sweet and lovely.
You're saying they weren't two tops?
No, they basically were. I mean, it basically was. You would have to sit at tables together.
Oh, I see.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't say it correctly. And they were so lovely, and Peru's show was so funny. And then I went to another show the next night that was also very funny, Kat Cohen's show. And then, this story was going somewhere, but that's all tossed out the window, as my grandparents would say.
Wait, so you sat next to 2 people who said, "Isn't this funny? We're sitting next to you," and we ran into Erin Gibson in Santa Fe.
Yes. Exactly. Because one of them is from New Mexico.
I do think one of these people is a judge because I met someone who
What does
is
that mean,
a judge.
is the judge?
He is a judge.
Oh.
He went to law school and then he became a judge. But he's very young.
But they live in New York now.
Oh, well, I guess they don't like when judges move to New York. So it can't be him.
I guess not. You're right.
Yeah. Well, that's lovely.
Yeah, it
Tell
sure
them
was.
hi.
And it was a great story too. And I'm so glad I told it.
How was Kat's show?
Hilarious.
Also good?
So funny. So fabulous. She'll be at Edinburgh, actually. And so will I. BryanSafi.com, at BryanSafi on Instagram. Click the link in bio for tickets, honey bunnies. Also.
What? Sergio, what is this? These are not the people.
Christopher
These
follows
are
me.
the people. These are the people.
He's a writer for People. I don't know what his husband's profile doesn't say judge, so I can't help you.
I can practically guarantee you his husband is not a judge.
This is the most Santa Fe shit I've ever seen in my life.
Fabulous
this photo.
picture. They're great. They were so funny and warm and sweet. Just great.
Okay.
I also just wanted to say, Theresa
Edinburgh.
May, is that funny?
Mm.
No, like I'm genuinely asking.
Oh yeah, it is hilarious.
Okay, good.
I laughed so hard. I've never laughed harder in my life.
What
I'm
is
dying.
happening in Los Angeles is such a disgrace and so disgusting and Trump setting in the National Guard there is.
You're talking about the ICE raids.
Yes. First of all, the ICE raids, period, are beyond the pale. This really, really, I hope, ignites a ferocious debate about federal rights versus states' rights, which, by the way, isn't all Republicans want to talk about anyway?
Yes.
And the states don't want any part of this. Trump, in an unprecedented manner, sends in the National Guard. Well, by the way, ICE is raiding people's workplaces now. So this is a full-on hunt. There's no other word for it.
And by the way, rooting and upending people's lives for no reason other than a fucking smokescreen for the shit that they're actually
and
doing.
Also in a state that's supposed to be a sanctuary state. Not that I'm blaming California for this.
But honestly, what the fuck is Gavin Newsom doing?
Well, he is saying, he at least said this is unprecedented. They're doing this to inflame things, not to make things better. It's disgusting. And Karen Bass said the same thing. Like, this is really terrible. This is just going to destabilize the environment. This is only going to make things worse. And Trump and the administration know that. And then now fucking Hegseth wants to send in the Marines. It's so insane. It fully goes into, I don't know what civil liberties are, state versus federal shit, community. And honestly, it just is like so heartbreaking to know what's going on. I'm sure the media will spin this into a thing of that these violent protests, these LA violent protests. And now Trump wants to get full blown like Putin on everybody and say that you're no longer allowed to put disguises or masks on at protests because it's unlawful to do so that they can use facial recognition and whatever, criminalize or detain or who even knows what the fuck the people who are protesting, the way they've been doing with students, by the way. And yet, most of the people at an actual insurrection, which he's calling this, which is a joke, at an actual insurrection on January 6th were masked. Most of any time white nationalists show up at shit, they're masked.
Literally, the KKK is swimming in a fucking mask.
During COVID, when people protested for BLM, or even when people protested, they would call them Antifa cowards for being masked during COVID. Like, the double standard of all of this is so insane. They know it. They just don't care. But
they don't care.
I gotta say, like, we've got to step up and do better, truly. Like, this is beyond. And it is just a full-on unfair fight, witch hunt. And I think that part of it, I really actually think, and this sounds beyond, this sounds like evil, villainous shit, but it is, because I actually think the administration in some ways actually takes pleasure in this.
Oh, for sure. They're sadists.
They really just are. It's really horrifying. So, and by the way, apparently states always have to request the National Guard coming into their state. And usually it's for a state of emergency, a hurricane, whatever.
Which, by the way, Trump doesn't seem to give a fuck about. They're not sending any FEMA funds to anywhere that needs it right now.
No, exactly. So they're sending the National Guard, which is usually asked for by the state. The only other time, by the way, it wasn't asked for by the state was, I believe, when LBJ sent the National Guard to Alabama to protect the civil rights protesters.
Yeah.
Not to cause a big fucking stir. I don't know. It's really horrifying. And my heart just truly bleeds for anyone having to deal with this. It's completely inhumane. It's absolutely disgusting. And I know that my parents, for instance, are going to be fed information through their news about like how horrifying LA is, how dangerous LA is, blah, blah, blah. But it's really disgusting.
I mean, do you feel like when your parents inevitably bring this up, that you can say, what about, why isn't he sending this stuff to a red state that needs federal assistance right now from a natural disaster?
Exactly.
Do you think that they're able to hear that?
No, I think they are. My dad actually does not like this, does not like him, like is horrified by him.
But won't change his politics.
I think people of that generation are one issue voters, and it's such a shame. It really just is.
And they say kids don't have critical thinking skills because of phones.
Yeah.
What about that?
I guess like parents are phones. And don't ask me to explain that.
No, I don't need to, because I understand every molecule of that.
Should we talk about what's going on with the show today?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I'm here, Erin's here. So that part stayed the same.
Okay, so that's totally stable. Like, we know that that's happening.
That's right. We also, though, have a vault episode this week. This is, Erin, these descriptions. This is episode 94, the 94th episode we ever did of this podcast. We are exhausted after attending a Hollywood party.
I wonder what party that was.
Erin, you shall share your special masturbation technique using peppermint oil and Avion.
Something that absolutely should be put on your genitals.
And very timely, Dustin Lance Black was our guest. So go hear that interview, which, by the way, you know that the administration now wants to take away. They're trying to strip the names of certain ships in the Navy, including one called the Harvey Milk, another one, the Harriet Tubman, another one, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
And Dustin Lance Black and Sean Penn are having none of it, honey. That's all I know. So this is really a good week to listen to Dustin Lance Black, even though I do remember asking him one terribly inappropriate question, and I do feel badly about it.
Do you want to bring it up, or do you want to cut it out, or do you want to re-mention it and
I think I
out?
asked him if he's ever sat on his Oscar.
Yeah.
So that probably...
Well, tell us what's happening on Dateline. I can't think of a better segue.
Oh, perfect. Well, Keithy, my Keithy is back. This takes place in New York, but not New York, New York.
Like,
even
Yonkers?
though it is New York, New York. And this
is it Yonkers? Say it's Yonkers.
It's not.
Bryan, will you do me a favor? If you have like a cool hour, will you just take the train to Yonkers and just see how easy it is for me?
Do you want to know something, Erin? I will. I'm not kidding.
Just see what it's, just vibe on Yonkers for me.
Although I'm only here for 2 more days, so I might not be able to this time, but I come back in 2 weeks.
Okay, whenever you can, just vibe on Yonkers.
Whenever
and
you
I'll
can,
ask Vicky.
vibe on Yonkers.
I will. Oh, I'll do. Do a Yonkers grocery store app.
I will, but Erin, you can't secretly harbor a grudge for me going to Yonkers first. You can't.
No, I won't. I won't. I'll be very happy. And I also want to ask Vicky her opinions when we do the Lady Attorney Live. See what her vibe is on Yonkers.
Listen, just because she lives in New York doesn't mean she's been to Yonkers, Erin.
I know, but I know this is why I think it's a
I would say that most people who live in New York, have not been to Yonkers.
I think this is why it's the scam for me. Because you can have all of it. You can literally have it all. Not like a woman who can work and also have a family.
You got that right, Sheryl Sandberg.
You can lean into Yonkers.
That's right. Also on this Dateline, there is a major storyline with a woman named Miss Pumpkin.
No, that's your name for her?
That's not a name I'm giving her. That's her name. And another storyline with a name I did give someone, Edna Scissorhands.
Can't wait.
So
Can't wait.
that's the Dateline this week. And of course, we have our first act of our video episodes every week for free. And by the way, Erin, the name of the episode is Dateline Secrets of the Sliding Glass Door.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it's it involves a sliding glass door?
So honestly, barely, but yes.
Why do they just call it sliding doors or something?
Or like door.
Know. Yeah.
Or doors.
I love doors.
Should that be our new Patreon tier? Our new series, Doors, where we just talk about different doors.
I love it.
And on YouTube, as I mentioned, you get the first act of our video episodes every week for free. So you can find us by searching Attitudes Pod. And what else, my darling? Should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, there's been no official recognition of Pride Month by this administration. In fact, the White House confirmed there wouldn't be, that there would be no presidential proclamation for Pride Month, and have decided to frame June as Nuclear Family Month.
Cool.
Which is such a joke. What are you doing to support families? I would love to know.
Also, half these fucking guys are divorced, so fuck off.
Also, I do feel like Nuclear Family Month is like, of course, there are gay nuclear families, no doubt about it. But for them, it's code for straight pride. Which, by the way, every day is straight pride, if we could just be honest. Or at least,
yes.
Yeah. So I mentioned it last week, and I want to encourage everyone again to really support your local Pride parade celebration. Really get involved with Pride Month this year. Just feels like it's the most pressing time to be involved in those things. And
do you know
especially,
what I'm so sad about?
What?
June is Pride Month in Santa Fe and LA. July is Pride Month in Vancouver. I literally miss both of them.
Wait, when do you come? When are you leaving Vancouver?
July 3rd.
That's perfect. I think it's actually very patriotic, Erin, that you're coming back to this country on July 4th. And I hope that was a strong choice of yours.
I did. Well, I have to work on the 3rd. So then the 4th. And they don't do July 4th up here because it's a different country.
You know what? Have a Bloody Mary
business
mix
as
in
usual.
The sky just for me on that day, Erin.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
And Mrs. T's, wasn't that her name?
Oh, yeah. Mrs. T's.
Yeah. So I do hope everyone gets involved in Pride this year, especially like when it feels on the brink. I've talked endlessly about corporate sponsorships leaving and not sponsoring things anymore, and how I feel two ways about that. But also that there's more anti-queer legislation going through courts, going through legislatures, going through, state senate, state everything, and obviously on a federal level too. But this is really the year to support it, to be an ally, and also to be, an athletic supporter. That didn't make sense, but I did want to Greece.
I loved it. Yes.
Well, I did want to talk about what's happening in Eastern Europe and some of the resistance happening there so that we can maybe even apply some of these things at our own Pride. So Hungary, part of the EU, I've been to Hungary, actually. Viktor Orban, a dictator ruling that country now, who Trump in the only debate against Kamala, because remember he was too chicken shit to debate her again, talked about how Viktor Orban thinks he's such a great leader. And Kamala said, first of all, why would you ever quote him? And second of all, he's saying that because he knows you're a joke. Like that's the tea. But Viktor Orban, when I was there, was trying to pass a law because at the time there were a lot of Syrian immigrants there, refugees, I should say, not immigrants, refugees fleeing war and destruction in the homeland. And then he was trying to criminalize someone giving $1 to a Syrian refugee, that the person giving the $1 could go to jail, could potentially go. Like, he's sick. But I don't know that was ultimately enacted. But Hungary just has a horrible government right now. And they have enacted a law banning any LGBTQ plus events, including Budapest Pride. Budapest, obviously, by far the biggest city in Hungary, with penalties for participants and organizers. And this march, though, is going to happen no matter what on June 28th. That really is the strength of the people who believe in it, with a country and government that is really against them. So this happened in March of this year, that Hungary's parliament passed this law allowing the government to ban pride marches and also to fine organizers and attendees up to €500 and also use facial recognition technology to identify participants. Here is my question. Where the F is the EU? Hungary is an EU country, and actually the EU laws and supersede the governments there, the national governments in these places, which is a wonderful thing about the EU, actually, is that like if enough, I don't entirely know how it works, but I believe if enough like member states, however you want to call it, member countries, believe that something should happen, if sanctions should happen, I believe that they can. But the EU has only at this point, and I'll get into it later, threatened these sanctions. Where as far as I'm concerned, like, say lift the ban or you're fucked. And by the way,
what's the point of having a membership with rules if they're not even going to enforce them?
Completely.
And what is the EU getting from Hungary?
I don't know.
I
do think that probably the
benefiting?
EU gets. I do think Hungary gets more from the EU than Hungary actually isn't even on the euro. I mean, it's actually very sad. You know, they are like they're not one of the richest countries in Europe for sure. You know, it is a sad situation. And I would say Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria, and Poland are probably the 4 EU countries, and maybe Slovakia, 5, with the sort of lowest tolerance and acceptance for queer people in the European Union. I mean, it exists everywhere for sure, but I would say it's the most concentrated in those member states. So only 17 of 27 of those countries signed a joint declaration urging the EU to act against this policy from Hungary, this new law from Hungary, which to me is not enough. So 10 countries voted, either opted out of the vote or said like, oh, we don't mind that they're doing that, which is way too many. So on June 3rd, the Budapest police refused authorization for the Pride parade, like for the, you know how like if you have a parade, you have to like get permission.
Yes.
So saying it would fall into lines of promotion of homosexuality, which would expose minors and risk the safety of people, which how? So, but organizers have said, fuck you and fuck you, to quote Carrie Bradshaw's boyfriend, Ron Livingston, on Sex and the City for 3 episodes. Right, Erin?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know exactly what we're talking about. As a diehard Sex and the City.
I do have to say.
Fan.
And just like that, my private client does not enjoy that show and won't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much.
Are you rewatching it?
No, it's a new season of And Just Like That, you know, the sequel show.
Yes, I know all about it. That's all anybody talks about.
It really is like, I'm going to say something controversial for Hollywood.
Okay.
To me, it really looks like a show written, produced, acted, edited by AI. That's set in New York. I haven't recognized one thing. And it's literally shot here. I haven't recognized one thing. Everything looks fake, weird. Everything is so strange about this show. And all I want to say is, if that's the future, deal me in.
What's the main thing that happened in the episode you just watched that you can't believe that they either wrote or showed you?
Well, Rosie O'Donnell played a nun. By the way, she was fantastic.
Uh-oh, you touched your mic.
How's it now?
Now you're back.
Rosie O'Donnell was so phenomenal in this. I miss her movie. She was so good in everything. She was so funny too. Like, I really miss her. She plays a nun, and Cynthia Nixon takes her virginity in this episode. This is Erin, this is only one of the storylines. Cynthia Nixon takes...
Is it an hour long or half hour?
It's like, you know how it is now. It's like 35, 40 minutes.
Okay, so
and also
how
this happens.
How could they even do it?
Go ahead and look in the chat. That happens too.
Oh, I've been seeing this strawberry shortcake thing. Yes. Yeah. But what is that hat?
Cynthia Nixon takes Rosie's virginity. So that was another big thing. And then Rosie really falls for Cynthia Nixon, but Cynthia Nixon has to break it off. Okay, I'm going to say... I haven't seen the next episode yet of Interest.
Wait, is this the post-virginity nun outfit? Her in a Wicked shirt?
Yes, she sings Wicked at one point. You know, that's a famous musical.
Musical? Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay.
And so whose idea was it to give Cynthia Nixon just a big old bag of candy?
She is eating out of a giant...
Guys, we can't shoot this scene. We're missing something. I'm going to get props on this, but we need to get
some giant bulk candy.
Ziploc a Ziploc of various Skittles, please.
I don't even remember the candy being a part of it.
It's so prominent.
I know. So anyway.
God. Oh my God. And there's so much I can't even, the fact
Erin,
that
how you're not watching this show is shocking. It is so.
I don't have any, I
get
can't.
It. Listen, I
it
can't
has
fault
to
anyone
be-
for not watching it, and I certainly can't fault anyone for watching it.
It's camp, no?
Totally. Beyond though, like it feels like it is, you're in a parallel universe because nothing is recognizable. It doesn't feel like any other show. There was a big I've fallen and I can't get up joke in this last episode. So funny. Because she falls down and then you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, this might have sold me on it.
Yeah. Anyway.
I want it to eat itself. It feels like it's eating itself. Like the universe is like ripped in the middle and now it's consuming its own existence. And that's what I would like. Is that would you qualify that as this?
Definitely. It's the end of the world.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what this has to do with the homophobic laws in Hungary. I'm pretty sure you mentioned it just
Rosie.
Like that. Because of Rosie O'Donnell. That's right. So anyway, a coalition now of 20 European Union countries told Hungary, you have got to get rid of these anti-pride laws or we will trigger sanctions. And again, I'm like, how about just sanction them?
Just sanction them. They're already doing it.
But here's what I want to say about Hungary. Thousands of protesters blocking bridges, civil disobedience, naming all of what's happening fascism. And I'm really hoping, there actually is hope that this ban could be overturned. But the organizers are like, fuck it, we don't care. Come, wear your mask, do whatever you need to do to be safe. But like, we're having this pride parade. And I also want to give props to Romania, which by the way, clocks in at number 27 of 27 countries in the EU in terms of safety for LGBT plus people and tolerance and acceptance in that country. They are dead last, even last behind Bulgaria and Poland in terms of LGBT plus rights. But tens of thousands of queer people and supporters went to Romania's capital, Bucharest, this weekend for its annual Gay Pride Parade. It was a giant turnout in a Romania that has just elected an incredibly right-wing government where hate speech is being bandied about so casually now because it is top-down, as I mentioned before. But so much support there for this. Not to mention there was also a lot of non-support for this, a bunch of signs, a bunch of nasty things, a bunch of things thrown at queer people during this. Not to mention there's been, since this election cycle in Romania, there is a giant increase in hate crimes against the queer community because of the rhetoric. Like of course, babes, Romania and Hungary are holding up a mirror to us. They're like basically, I don't know. They're standing over hunchbacked outside of Transylvania with a lantern and a cane saying, "This will be you in 5 years." They really just are. But guess what? They're fighting back. And so I just really, really hope that we can do the same thing because even when these right-wingers turn out to something like as beautiful and positive and as coalition building as a pride parade, even when these haters turn out, tens of thousands of people turn out to say like, go away, we're not going to be afraid of you, and we're not going to do this anymore. Now, homosexuality has been decriminalized in Romania for decades now, which is wonderful. But, we really can't take any of that stuff for granted. We know that in this country.
Because it could be taken away at whoever the next asshole is.
But you really have to hand it to, I don't want to say underdog countries, but if you're queer, yes, underdog countries like Hungary and Romania who are just not putting up with it. And I hope that the allies in this country and the queer people, and I mean allies to everyone, even with what's going on in LA, can really stand up to people in power and say, like, this is absolutely not right. This is not, forget it being anti-American, this sort of a shit, which it is. It's also anti-human. It's disgusting. So I really hope June should really be a political month in this country. And I really hope we can turn out and show out for it. And me? I know how to cook everything.
Why is that a flex?
Erin,
Don't answer it.
I can't
It's
talk
fine.
about this right now. I have to think about it, and maybe we can talk about it next
Get
week.
back to me.
I
Get
will.
back to me. Get back
I will.
Yeah. Is this your client's apartment?
This is one of my private clients' apartments. Yeah.
I see.
Mhm.
Okay. Bryan, you got to get creative when you're out there helping people access birth control. Sometimes you got to figure out, like, what did they used to do in the past? Like, you got to ask yourself, what might a company do in 1985 to remind you of the refreshing taste of Coca-Cola as you sizzle your Bain de Soleil skin with other innocent beachgoers on July 4th?
Mhm.
Bryan, they would, in the old days, affix a simple sign to the back of a simple plane and drag it across the sky.
Isn't that wonderful?
I love a sky plane.
I love smoke when you don't need it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're thinking of when they literally write it in.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I'm going even more simple, which is just dragging a sign.
Yeah. But you know what? I like that better because you can really tell what's happening.
You know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh God, the wind hit. Now what?
Yeah, exactly. Free Dorothy.
Well,
surrender
that
Dorothy.
is surrendered.
Dorothy. Sorry.
Yes, exactly. That is what Mayday Health did late May, just under a week ago, when they flew an aerial billboard, which is, I guess, what they're called, across the Indianapolis Motor Speedway over Memorial Day weekend. So the banner read "Abortion Pills by Mail."
Wow.
And it flew by on Friday during something called Carb Day.
Huh?
I don't know if it's carburetor or bread, but it was at the racetracks.
Oh.
And so I don't know who turned out for Carb Day at the Indianapolis racetrack.
I don't either.
And again, I don't know if it's carburetors or bread.
Me neither. I mean,
I don't know, because there's both kinds of carbs exist at this place.
oh, without question. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're having hot dogs, hamburgers, fried everything, Oreos, who knows?
Yeah, carbs galore, but also carburetors in the actual machines that they're going to watch human beings drive. Do you think AI is
it's
going
the
to hit?
final practice day before the race, traditionally held the Friday before the race.
Okay, it's called Carb Day.
The name is a throwback to when Indy cars used carburetors. And teams would use this day to fine-tune their cars' fuel systems. Is that hysterical? Next year we got to
That's
celebrate.
so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. And get yourself a funnel cake while you're there to do two carbs, 1 cup.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they flew it during Carb Day and then Saturday and Sunday too. So lots of people saw this sign. It won't be shocking, Indiana has a near total abortion ban with very narrow exceptions for the healthcare procedure. Those exceptions are fatal anomalies. So it cannot survive once it can't survive. And let's be real, even in states where there are exceptions for fatal anomalies, there are hospitals unwilling to do them because the onus of the procedure falls on the doctor.
Cool.
So there's places that are like, I think that this fetus won't survive, but I don't have 100% thing. But in a normal world, we would have aborted, but now I don't know.
Mm.
So there's that, which creates a whole nother fucking slew of problems. And then they have a exception for rape or incest up to 10 weeks, which is really 6 weeks after you find out you're pregnant. And
Which
I
is
don't know.
nothing. Yeah.
And also, once again, you've got to prove that a crime was committed. And you have to do it fucking fast.
Right.
Because once you're at 11 weeks, the procedure, if you are a victim of rape or incest and it is 11 weeks, you have no options except to do something out of the state, which is what Mayday, there are a lot of organizations inside the state that will help you with travel funds, but I don't know how you do that if you're I don't know how you do this shit if you're like 16.
I was going to say, if you're a minor, I wonder what the law is on that. Yeah.
I don't know. After the ban, when they effectively banned abortion in the state, abortion fell 96%. There were only 146 abortions performed in the state.
Legally.
Last year, legally. 96%. So it's fucking bleak and dire. So I love that they're getting these messages out, which is like, hey, abortion might be basically illegal, but getting pills in the mail is not. You can still access this. Someone on Twitter said the Indy 500 was surprisingly pretty progressive. Trump was persona non grata, a non-American saying God bless America, and there was an abortion pills by mail banner flying.
Who'd have thunk?
I think we're going to see a lot of surprising places where resistance is going to crop up. I really do. It wasn't the first time this kind of guerrilla marketing has been used at the racetrack. In 2019, All Options Pregnancy Resource Center flew a banner that said, abortion is okay, over the Indy 500. You know what? Because here's the thing. It could be very easy for people to, especially people who I would imagine are at sporting events, to basically just be like, I care about sports and nothing else. I don't tap into other people's lives. I don't really care what's happening in this state of the world. I'm going to let my algorithm dictate to me what my world is and what I view. And that's going to be it. I'm going to live in a very small fucking bubble. So you do need these things. You need visual reminders of resistance. You need people out in these streets, and you need to be doing this stuff in places that you wouldn't really consider doing them under, I don't even know what normal circumstances are, but like, getting word out to,
people, the places you wouldn't initially think of.
Out of the box thinking. Thank you,
I
Bryan.
love this. We should have a brainstorm session soon and ideate.
Oh,
and
yeah.
come up
You know
with
what we
concepts,
should do?
designs, modalities.
Okay. I would love to circle up with you and do that.
Me too. Just BCCC, my assistant.
Yeah.
BCCC, and then CC Sandra, and we'll get right on it.
If you can give me your top 3 choices and then fill out my Calendarly,
sure,
that'll help us really coordinate our schedules.
Great.
And
I'll Slack everyone later, right after this.
Yes. Okay, great.
Perfect. And then follow up with, every appropriate person. Do you want to know something so sweet? I was looking at a video of last year's Istanbul Pride, which is sometimes not.
While I was talking?
No. Like last night when I was preparing my shoe. Do you know what is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen? Do you know who was like marching with these protesters in Istanbul? Or like, because really in some places the Pride March is a protest. The stray cats and dogs on the streets.
I love it.
Is that not the sweetest thing you've ever heard?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what they knew or didn't, but it warmed my heart.
Cats, I've long thought dogs were allies. I didn't know about cats.
I do think that cats are. I mean, cats are, let's be honest, like cats are Oscar Wilde. There's no dog that's Oscar Wilde.
What?
Yeah, they're like shitty and witty.
Cats are shitty. You're just thinking about Garfield.
No, I mean, you know that I don't like Garfield because he's lazy, but other cats I do feel like are sort of like, they're mean gays. They're evil gays, cats. Even though I love cats, I don't mean to put the word evil on it, but they are. They're like discerning. They expect the most from the culture.
Yep.
Dogs are a little more broy, and I'm obsessed with dogs. I'm obsessed with all animals.
Okay. What about hummingbirds? Where do they fall?
They're different.
Well put.
Thanks.
Bryan, we got some incredible reviews, iTunes, Patreon, DMs.
The works. The works.
Alicia Peters, Living My Nightmare, regarding Volt episode 93. The amount of times I've heard Bryan tell the Shirley Temple mother story is at least 100 times at this point with Volt episodes, and repeats of the story in new episodes. I wonder how many episodes they actually mention it.
You know that what happened with her, Erin. When she got married, she had to live... No, her mother lived in the main house, and Shirley and her husband had to live in the playhouse out back. Can you imagine?
And
him?
you don't think it's the other way around?
No, I know it wasn't.
And how old was Shirley Temple when she got married?
Like 16, 17. Very young.
Rebecca Escrow, realtor to the stars, says Oz Perkins' great grandmother was Elsa Schiaparelli.
Oh my gosh. Schiaparelli, like the clothing designer?
I guess.
Wow.
Who's Oz Perkins?
He's the one who directed Longlegs. And his father was Anthony Perkins, the queer star of Psycho.
Okay. Gotcha.
Matt Harrison said he had a Garfield lunchbox, and that Garfield was everywhere in the UK in the late 80s. The miserable bastard. He must have had a great PR. He still does have great PR. Like, why is Garfield, there's still movies made about him.
Yes. Who cares at this point?
I agree.
The next one, though, is my favorite Garfield story because of the facts involved.
My grandpa exclusively wore giant short-sleeved Garfield shirts like that as nightgowns. I miss them. Erin.
Emily, I've got one.
The future is grandpa. Chic.
It is a strange look for a grandfather, though, as a nightgown.
Without question, but I honor it.
It's full Dickens sleep shirt, but instead of Dickens sleep shirt, it's a Garfield print. Zarina says, Googled My Soulmate, My Sister, My Goddess to find out it's not a real book.
I forget what My Soulmate, My Sister, My Goddess was. You know, there's a podcast called
said.
My Soulmate, My Sister, My Podcast that Vicky Gunvalson, one of the Real Housewives of Orange County, has. Erin,
it's the worst
what
name
I would
for anything.
recommend for you, watching just like that and follow it up with Vicky Gunvalson's My Sister, My Soulmate, My Podcast. It's all going to be right up your alley. You're going to love it.
And then we got a DM from Mike saying, do Bryan and Erin know there's a Lionsgate film studio in Yonkers? Come to what they call Hollywood on the Hudson.
Mike, I would love to.
Mike, find out if you and Bryan can do a private tour of the Lionsgate studio in Yonkers.
I would love to go. Michelle Halterman, talking about this new thing we're doing this week, said, I'm literally crying, laughing, and trying to keep somewhat quiet on a red-eye flight from LA to New York. I'm dead in the best way. Erin and Bryan, please do more of these bad renovations.
That renovation. Sergio, you have to find more of those. I was disturbed for weeks.
Our good dear friend LP DM'd me and said, like, by the way, I used to watch the show all the time. It's like, it's called like interior design on a dime or something like that.
Decorating Sense.
Oh, it's called Decorating. So I was
Sense.
dead wrong. Is there a show called Interior Design on a Dime? If there's not, I mean, Erin, what are we waiting for? Michelle Halterman says, also, if you were to play the game, take a shot every time they say primitive, you'd be dead. No kidding.
Primitive.
But the weirdest adjective to use about a bathroom. Seth said, yes, please.
That the bathroom renovation brought down the property value.
No, without question. Please go to patreon.com/attitudes for this week's Dateline for all of this new thing we're doing, for all of the Dateline episodes.
How about for tickets to your show?
You can go to bryansafi.com or you can go to my Instagram.
Wait, have you done the New York show? No,
those are in July. I did perform this week in New York, though. I did a set and then tried out a new song I want to do for the show. Co-written by the delightful Avery Pearson, who I don't know if you know, Erin, but he's so funny. He's a songwriter and a comedian and absolutely hilarious. But that was really fun. So, and that new song will be in the show. So go to bryansafi.com or go to my Instagram and go on the link in the bio, bobo, boo-boo, poo-poo. Right, Erin?
Yeah, right.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, great.
See you never.
I'll circle up. Whoa.
No, I'm kidding.